we're here. Merry Christmas. Wishing you a 3M Christmas this year. The 4 seasons of Advent, we've had a journey together. The manual of life is Emmanuel. That's been our discovery as we've each week. The Word, Logos, was made flesh, Pathos, and dwelt among us, Ethos, and we beheld God's glory, Theos. And now we're celebrating today on Christmas the glory and the birth of Jesus. Now I'm As you know, on Sunday night or Monday morning of every week, we post a new expository semiotics explaining why we would choose which lectionary readings. But in these readings, our dream is, and our desire is, to help you read the signs and fondle the details and spot the seminal metaphors, the condensed signs and the stories that are key for preaching to a digital culture. So strap on your seatbelt and join us as we prospect our passages for today. Calling it a 3M Christmas, and because I've tried to design something that you can use either for Christmas Eve or Christmas and some thoughts, but 3M, as you probably are well familiar, they have 60,000 different products they sell as a company. It's a science and technology company. And when we think of 3M, the first thing that comes to mind probably is tape, but they have like 60,000 high-tech products that they sell. But the 3M that I want to feature is magic, mystery, and miracle, the 3 M's of Christmas. So wishing you a Christmas and wishing your people a 3M Christmas, meaning a Christmas filled with Christmas magic, Christmas mystery, and Christmas miracle. The magic, first of all, the magic of Christmas takes us on a magic carpet ride. Part of the magic, though, it comes, and let's just be honest about this. This is the one celebration where we celebrate deferred gratification. This is a culture of immediate gratification. If you have it, you ought to get it now. You deserve it. Do it now. Do it. But this is a celebration that rewards deferred gratification and could kind of promote self-control. You have to wait for it. Advent is a period of waiting. You got to wait for Santa Claus. And this missing element that's so key of deferred gratification. Back in 1972, a Stanford marshmallow experiment was done by a psychologist named Walter Mischel, and he was a professor there at Stanford. And they tested a marshmallow, and those kids that were willing, if they waited to eat that one marshmallow, they'd get 2 or something like that. Who could wait and defer their gratification until the time was up and get an added bonus. That was the number one indicator for success later in life. And so Joseph Posada, Joachim Posada had a book, Don't Eat the Marshmallow Yet. And but that's part of the magic of life. You want magic in life. You got to defer your gratification and wait for it, and then it comes and you enjoy it immensely. For kids, the magic of Christmas is the Christmas decorations. They're outside, they're inside, the lighting on houses and the decorations inside. But for the adults, part of the Christmas magic is not just the outside decorations, but the interior decorations. The attitudes of generosity that come from within, the interior decorations of kindness and selflessness, as we focus more on those around us than ourselves. And every year, we get better at making better magic, I think, in this magic of Christmas. The magic of the sights, the magic of the sights of a white Christmas, of lights strung on trees and streets, but even more the lights of the night sky, starlight, star bright. The magic of the tastes of Christmas. And I was thinking about the taste of Christmas. I love eggnog, and that was the first one to come to mind. But then there are Yule logs and, yes, fruit cakes, mince pies, the taste of ribbon candy, of candy canes. We sing about figgy pudding, so I can't think about the taste of Christmas. I've never had figgy pudding. I don't know what it tastes like, but I think about it when I think of the taste of Christmas. Anybody? Figgy pudding? Pecan pie, one of my favorite. Christmas cookies, peppermint bark, gravy. I mean, Christmas is the time for gravy. And then you got the smells of Christmas, the smell of cinnamon and pine, the smell of orange and clove, the smell of mulled wine, the smell of course, gingerbread and roasted chestnuts, open fire, the smell of star anise. And then, of course, the sounds of the magic of the sounds of Christmas. Sleigh bells, are you listening? The sound of marshmallows plopping into hot chocolate. The sound of an oven timer announcing the Christmas cookies are ready. The sound of tiptoes and crackling fires and boxes being shaken up close to your ear. The sound of the giggles of kissing under the mistletoe. And my favorite sound of Christmas, the Christmas carols, the music of the season, the music even more of the spheres at Christmas. Then you have the mystery of Christmas, not just the magic of Christmas, but the mystery of Christmas. And the mystery of Christmas is the greatest mystery in all of history. The mystery how the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld His glory. The glory is of the only begotten of the Father. That is the greatest mystery of all time, and we celebrate that mystery, and we even name that mystery Emmanuel, God with us. The presence of the divine, the ultimate present, is that presence. The manual of life is Emmanuel. The story of the incarnation came in glorious mystery. A cradle made of stone, not a bassinet made of silver and gold. Straw, not silk for a mattress. And the deeper mystery of Christmas is what Paul reveals in Colossians 1. The secret, or the mystery that has been kept hidden, has now been revealed. And that secret is what? Christ in you, the hope of glory, that Christ came to be born so that He can be born again in each one of us and live His resurrection life in and through us. That's the deep down mystery. The incarnation continues in us. This is this mystery of joy unspeakable and full of glory. This mystery that the world does not get, of transcendental joy, a joy that transcends all of your pain and suffering, all your rejection and failure. In the midst of the worst, God can do the best. If we just trust in God, and we can experience in the midst of the mess that transcendental joy. Karen Kilby is a professor of Catholic theology at Durham University. And she's recently written a book called God, Evil, and the Limits of Theology. And here's a quote. Christian theology ought to acknowledge itself to be faced with questions it cannot answer. So you can't answer the questions. But our faith was not meant to be something that, you answer the question, you solve the problem. No, it's you live the mystery. The mystery of Christ in us the hope of glory. And that's why the mystery of evil, no one can explain why there's pain and evil and suffering in the world. This is Julian of Norwich. This is in her Revelations of Divine Love, where she talks about evil, sin, suffering, death. They're all mysteries. But she ends with this uplifting assertion. This is the essence of transcendental joy, or transcendent joy. But all shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. The joy in the midst of pain and suffering, hence joy to the world. The mystery of Christmas is that the journey of life is a joy journey. The whole story of the scriptures, from Genesis to the maps, is a joy story. Faith is not a set of questions to be answered, not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived. So, wishing you a 3M Christmas, live the mystery. Enjoy the magic. Live the mystery. And the third one, M. Magic, mystery, you remember it? Miracle. Delta has a new motto. I can't tell you how much I like it. Connecting you to what matters is what matters most. Connecting you to what matters is what matters most. Now, for somebody who wrote a book called What Matters Most, this is music to my ears. But the miracle of what matters most is that little preposition with. Emmanuel, God with us. The what matters most are not nouns, but prepositions. What matters most are not propositions, but this little preposition, witness. God became with us, one of us. And the ultimate is that continuing witness. I will never leave you or forsake you. And that witness, as we become witnesses to one another. I feel sorry for Mariah Carey. She becomes, at the same time, the most beloved and the most hated person in Christmas, because the #1 Christmas song of all time, right now, is Mariah Carey's, and it becomes an earworm, and you hear it all the time, so you either can't get away from it, so you hate it, or it still means something to you. All I want for Christmas is you. Nothing feels like success. It's so popular, people can't stand it. But that is the witness. All we want for Christmas. That's the ultimate in presence. Is the witness. It's the presence. It's relationships. And the promise of God's continual, steadfast witness. The only miracle story reported in all the Gospels is the feeding of the multitudes. We used to say the feeding of the 5,000, but that's only the men. So we're really not talking about like feeding of the 15,000. We include men, women, children. The disciples had leftover loaves and fishes. But they began with just a little couple barley loaves. Now, barley is the cheapest of the grain. Wheat was the better bread. This barley and fishes, and there, you look at this and you go, a lot of good that's going to do. I'm sure the disciples said, well, this is what we got, Jesus, but a lot of good that's going to do. And that's exactly the miracle of Christmas. Each one of us, we have just a little to offer. And we say, yeah, a lot of good that's going to do. But in offering that little, it becomes large when Jesus blesses it and breaks it and gives it to be given. A lot of good that's going to do. But I give you what I have. I give you who I am. I didn't like the bassoon, but I had to play the bassoon because my my band director and orchestral conductor needed a bassoonist. And so, Sweet, you're going to be a bassoonist. I like the brass instruments, but I got the bassoon. And so I was never that good. I never really liked it that much, but I ended up in sectional Allstate. Now, this is New York, upstate New York. It means everything north of the city. So you had the city, they had their own Allstate competitions, and then you had upstate. It was called sectional. And I'll never forget the concert when all of us that had been chosen were there. I was the second bassoonist, and it was in Herkimer, New York, the concert. I still have the album from it. And there was this moment where I had one moment of glory in this song. I can't remember what the classical music was that we were playing, but the second bassoonist had his own little moment. And so I had my moment, and the conductor stopped and said, let's go back to this bar, which was just before my moment, So okay, I'm going to do better this time. And so I tried my best. He said, well, then he stopped it again. He said, one more time. And so I went back. And finally, he stopped it again and looked straight at me and said, what are you doing here? And usually I think of these much later, but this was something that just came at the moment. And I said, I'm sorry, sir, but I'm all you got. This is what I say to God every day. And a lot of good this is going to do, but it's all I got. I offer it to you. It's yours. Do a miracle of loaves and fishes with it if you want, but it's all I got. It's yours. It's all we got. It's yours. And then the miracle of the everyday, the daily miracle of creation. We brush up against the miraculous, the numinous, in one form or another every day, but we can't see the numinous for the normal. Kentucky farmer, poet, and philosopher Wendell Berry, this is one of the reasons I love him so much. He once observed that turning water into wine is a relatively small miracle compared to turning water and soil and sunlight into grapes. Well, we just take it for granted. It's going to happen. William Jennings Bryan, who's a Presbyterian lay speaker, a lot of people don't know that, and one of the greatest orators of the 20th century, put it in equally picturesque language, almost a century before Berry, to skeptics who cry, miracles! Are you kidding? I can't accept miracles. Bryan, also known as the Great Commoner, had this retort, and I'm quoting here. Really? You can't accept miracles? A little seed is dropped into the soil, prepared to receive it, and then in a few short weeks we find the full-grown radish. The top is green, the body of the root is white and almost transparent, while on the outside is a delicate pink or red. Whose hand caught the hues of a summer sunset and wrapped them around the radish root down in the darkness in the ground? We eat the radish and we enjoy it, but no one has unraveled the mystery of the journey that it traveled from the seed bag to the table. The mystery of the common. The mystery is all around us, and Christmas repivots us, reminds us of that. And if you don't believe miracles are part of life, by the way, you won't see them. If you do believe miracles are part of life, you will see them. You see what you expect to see. And those miracles that God can do, each one of us is one of those miracles. Maybe you ought to look at the person next to you right now and say, you are my happy miracle. Because you are God's happy miracle. Every one of us is a happy miracle. Can you say that? You are my. You listening to me right now. You are my. You're gifting me your time to listen to and to maybe get some ideas of your own. But you invested in this. You are my happy miracle. Tolstoy, who I love for so many reasons and I despise for some other reasons. He had a short story called Where Love Is, God Is. And it starts with a line, in a certain town there lived a cobbler. And it goes on. The cobbler's name is Martin, and Martin has had a hard life. He finds comfort and hope in the Bible, especially the Gospels. He reads the story of the rich Pharisee who failed to welcome Jesus and wonders whether he would have done differently. And as he's contemplating whether he would have behaved better than the Pharisee, he falls asleep and hears a voice telling him, "Look out into the street tomorrow, for I shall come." The next morning, the cobbler is alert and vigilant, but all that comes by his door is a parade of ordinary people, an old soldier to whom he gives a cup of tea, a penniless woman whom he feeds. You get the picture. One common, everyday person after another. But then he realizes all of them are Christ, who Martin welcomes without realizing it, and in that moment realizes that Christ, the miracle of Christ, has come to his door. How many times do we have the miracle of Christ in our face and we fail to see it? So I'm wishing you a 3M Christmas, a Christmas of magic, of mystery and miracle. And they all come together for me in the number one Christmas hymn. It's really a tie between Silent Night and this one, Hark the Herald Angels Sing. The lyrics were written by Charles Wesley, the brother of John Wesley, who only Fanny Crosby wrote more hymns than he did. He wrote about 6,000, she wrote 8,000. But it was written, and part of the story, backstory, is it was set to a tune by Mendelssohn by George Whitefield. It was first published in 1739, just a year or so after Charles was converted. And then, but George Whitefield heard it, read and said, there's a better way to sing this than the way we're singing it. So he adopted Mendelssohn's tune, the one that we're familiar with. And he's the one that added Newborn King. He thought that was a better phrase than the one that Charles had. So he tampered with it and made it better. The opening line in the original 1739 hymns and sacred poems was "Hark how the heaven rings," and the hymn was inspired as Charles was walking to the streets of London, going to Christmas service, and the bells of London were ringing, and he got inspired, and so it started with "Hark how the heaven rings," and then it became "Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King, peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sinners reconciled. Joyful, all ye nations rise, join the triumph of the skies. With angelic hosts proclaim, Christ is born in Bethlehem. Hark, the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Now, the second stanza is, for me, a little problematic because it has this phrase, veiled in flesh the Godhead see, as if flesh is something that is negative. Actually, I would like to do what George Whitefield did and change it. Unveiled in flesh the Godhead sees. I mean, revealed in flesh the Godhead see. I mean, incarnation, carnate, it means flesh. So God entered our flesh and didn't veil the very being of God in our flesh, but unveiled. But we'll give Charles this moment for the second stanza. Christ by highest heaven adored, Christ by the everlasting Lord. Late in time, behold him come, offspring of a virgin's womb. Veiled in flesh the Godhead see, hail the incarnate deity. Pleased as man with men to dwell, Jesus our Emmanuel. Hark, the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. And then I end with this last third stanza. Hail the heaven-born Prince of Peace. Hail the Son of Righteousness. Light and life to all he bring. Remember last week we talked about light, life, beauty. Light and life to all he brings, risen with healing in his wings. Sozo Jesus. Risen with healing in his wings. Mild he lays his glory by, born that man no more may die, born to raise the sons of earth, born to give them second birth. Hark, the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Wishing you, from me, from my family, from Preach the Story, a 3M Christmas. A Christmas filled with Christmas magic, Christmas mystery, and Christmas miracle. May Christ be born in you.